Uh, Thank you. So, how to look for schools in your area of interest, how to search for opportunities in your area of interest. So, those are the first things you have to do. After identifying those schools, do they have funding? Yes. Okay. After you have identified they have funding, then you look out for professor profiles in that department that have research interest in that aligns with what you want to do. You can reach out to them. You don't have to wait till you apply before you start reaching out to professors. Then, what type of fundings are commonly available in the US? So in the US, the common funding are usually refers to as graduate assistantships. And what does that mean? Graduate assistantship are usually in two forms. The first one is teaching assistantship. The other one is research assistantship. So most cases, teaching assistantship are offered by the department to qualified applicants. And then research assistantship is usually an agreement between a professor and a student that, okay, your interest aligns with my interest, want to work together. Probably you have sent them an email initially and they're interested to work with you. Or probably they look at your application profile and they find out that they want to work with you and they reach out to you to tell you, okay, we want to work together. So something like that. But I always encourage people to send emails to professors. Nonetheless, there are some departments where you don't have to reach out to any professor, even if might reply to you that, oh, you don't have to reach out to them because when you are admitted first, you are not working with any professor, you are working under the department. You have to do a rotation, work in different labs, then you can be able to say, okay, this is where my interests lie, this is where I want to work with for your PhD program. So in that case, the department will first fund you probably for the first 2-3 years before you now be able to work with a particular professor. So in that case, sending email to a professor might not be productive in that instance. But those are the basic things that you need to do. So there are a lot of opportunities. The work is just for you to sit down and start to put it together, pull out the information, put it up together, whatever you want, which school you're interested in, get to know their requirements. And then if you are not clear on something, you can reach out to people who can provide you more information on that. And that will help you to make your decisions and to be able to stand a good chance of getting the funding in the long run. So that's a brief summary of what I would want to share. So I will allow Ruth to come up and give us an overview of opportunities and in this non-STEM programs.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello everyone, my name is Ruth. My channel name is Catching Up with Ola. I am studying, I'm doing my master's in the US. I'm studying student affairs in higher education at Miami University, Oxford, Ohio. And yeah, like what he said, basically, I'm going to agree with everything he said for non-STEM as well. But like where the difference lies is in reaching out to professors. I know like a lot of people, you know, argue about the fact that there are no scholarship for non-STEM students, but like there are a lot of scholarship for non-STEM students. But the thing is, like, we just need to put in more effort into researching. That is because like for years, I believe that there are no scholarship available for me. And, you know, I kept dwelling on that fact. But the moment I told myself that, you know, I have to check to see if there's anything out there for me, the story changed entirely. So basically, you just have to, you know, research. You have to spend time researching. Like I say it every time. If you've seen my previous video, you see that like everything I emphasize when I make my video is the power of research. You have to research. And because like we are non-STEM, there are so many courses in the US that would not require you to write exam. And when I say exam, I mean like the test of English proficiency and the graduate research exam. For instance, I did not have to write any of those exams because like I did my research properly. So for some schools, they will tell you that, you know, you have to meet up to a GPA of 3.0 on a scale of 4.0. I know in Nigeria, we use a scale of 5.0, but you know, like I do believe that like the way they calculate it here is kind of different from the way they calculate it in the US. Because even if you're on like 3.49, at times it is surprising to note that you might still meet the 3.0 on a scale of 4.0 GPA. And there are some schools that will tell you that, with 2.75 over 4.0, you are going to fly with it. So it depends on the school. But basically what I tell people when they are researching is have a personal requirement for yourself. Because when I was searching, that was what I had. Not like some schools did not ask me to write the exam, but like I had a personal requirement for myself that I wasn't going to write the exam. Oluwaseun, mute yourself. So I had a personal requirement for myself that I wasn't going to write the exam. So I started searching with that personal requirement. So I had like 3 personal requirements for myself. I wasn't going to write the exam. I wasn't going to submit official transcripts. And what was the 3rd requirement? I really can't remember. So that was what I was searching with. So like when searching, I had like a list. I had like 2 lists. I had some schools that would not require me to write GRE, but they would require me to submit official transcripts. That requirement was like very flexible for me. So I'm like, if I'm unable to see schools that would permit me. Okay. So so sorry about that. So I had a personal requirement for myself that I wasn't going to submit official transcripts, and I applied to schools that did not require me to submit official transcript. But the transcript part for me was like very flexible. So like I was saying, so that is it on the research part. Just make sure you spend time researching on schools, spend time researching on requirements. And for the test of English proficiency, I know like there's a lot of controversy about this, particularly if you are from Nigeria. There are a lot of schools out there that would not require you to write test of English proficiency. When I came here, when I tell people that I did not write exam, a lot of people are always surprised that how did you do it? How did you, get your scholarship? How did you do all that without writing an exam? It is possible, because there are a lot of schools out there that are not accepting test of English proficiency, particularly if you speak English in your country. But the reason why most people don't know is that they just, like when people decide that, okay, I want to study abroad, they just go ahead and write the exam without researching what is the requirements for their school. So that is why I emphasize research before trying to meet the requirements, so you know what you are working towards. So basically that is it. I research for schools. When you are researching for schools, and you are trying to see if they would accept test of English proficiency, you don't look at the program requirements. Obviously, the program requirements will tell you that test of English proficiency is required, but you go to their international admission. It is on their international admission that they will break it down for you, that people that are coming from this country, and at times you might see Nigeria, you might see Ghana, you might see other African countries, any country where they speak English. Basically, there are a lot of schools that waive that test for English for countries that speak English, that have English as their official language. So moving forward to, gathering all your materials and applying for admission, when you are done with all of that, basically you just need to, for people that are non-STEM, because for non-STEM, you don't have to contact anybody. Most of the programs in non-STEM, some of them are non-thesis based. For instance, I'm not going to do a research, but I can decide if I want to do a research or not. Like, it is dependent on what I want at the long run. It is dependent on if I want to go for my PhD. That is when I can decide that, okay, I want to do a research. So you basically don't need to write to any professor. But when you are filling the application process, all you just need to do is, there's a part that they would say, click here if you want to be considered for assistantship. So all you just need to do is click on that, and then maybe when they are getting back to you, they either get back to you with funding or they get back to you with interview details. For my course, like I had to do like a lot of interviews, because like for them to know, because I'm not, so there are different type of assistantship in the US. There's like the teaching assistantship, there's the research assistantship, and there's the graduate assistantship. So graduate assistantship is more of like the administrative assistantship, which is something that I have. So for them to give you that graduate assistantship, they need to know your ability. So that is why they do interview for that. They need to know your ability. So when you submit your application, they just contact you, different offices reach out to you, and they do interview for you. And if you do well with the interview, they give you the position, and then you get all your paperwork done and ready. I think that is basically it on the non-STEM. You don't have to reach out to any supervisor. Just do your research, make sure you are meeting the requirements. And because there is no exam, you need to make sure that the strength of your application material is strong enough. If you did not do well when you were in school, put it in your statement of purpose. Like, just make sure that your statement of purpose is strong enough. Make sure that even that you are submitting the statement of purpose, if you read the statement of purpose, you'll be able to give yourself admission. Basically, that is what I tell people. When you are reading your statement of purpose, ask yourself, would I give myself admission with this statement that I've written? Because remember that there's no exam. So you need to show them that, yes, I know what I'm doing and I can do well in graduate school.
All right, Ruth, I think that gives a very overview of what are necessary to succeed in your application to graduate school. So Ruth has shared the major part of her experience as a non-STEM graduate student. And it's all about you doing your research. As she rightly said, there's nothing that beats research. You can't jump into an application where you don't have enough information to make sure you are putting in the best. Everybody should be muted, please. Thank you. So as she has said, we go straight into taking questions. Basically, we want to make this as interactive as possible. We will be taking questions from everyone on live here. And if you have questions, just raise your hand and we'll be taking it one after the other. And if you want to speak, you can speak. If you want to type in the comment box, you can also do that. But we want to interact. Preferably, we want you to speak. And then we can take it up from there. You understand? So we also take questions from our viewers on YouTube, and we'll all right, so for those ones that have questions, please raise your hand so we can know the number of people will be calling up to take their questions. If you want to type in the comment box, also feel free to do that. So I will allow Ruth to coordinate the question section. So Ruth.
Suzanne, I can see your hand up.
Yes, hi. I'm joining in from Zambia, and I have 3 questions. I don't know if I have to say them all at once or I should ask them one at a time. I don't know which one is okay for you. Okay, so my first question is, at what point do you reach out to a professor? Is it before or at the time you're applying, or is it after you've been accepted in a particular school? And then what would you recommend to be the sites where you can do research on the school that you would want to be admitted on? Do you have like specific platforms that you can research all that material, the admission material? I heard you talk about the statement of purpose. Like, what are the specific sites that you recommend one to go to, assuming they have no idea how to do this initially? So what are the first steps besides them just knowing the course they want to do and the requirements? But then after that, what is their next step? Where do they go? That's something that I would like to know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this question goes to Sunday.
All right, thank you very much for your question. If I'm not mistaken, Suzanne, thank you for that question. So at what point do you reach out to a professor? First, let me take that. So reaching out to professor doesn't have a specific time, right? You reach out when you feel you're ready to do that. And again, what is important in reaching out to professor is for you to be clear to a certain extent of what you want to do. You have to first of all know what you want to do. You don't just reach out to a professor and say, oh, I would like you to mentor me, I would like to work with you, without having a definite path that links you to that professor. So you first look to the professor profile, you see, okay, this professor is working in this area. this professor have worked in this area recently. This is what he's doing. Currently, this is what he's doing. Then you look at it and you compare with what you want to do, and they are related to a certain extent. And then you feel like, okay, I can work with this professor. I can contribute to his research, because it has to be a mutual benefit before they can be interested in you. You can contribute to their research. At that point, you can then want to reach out to them. Firstly, what you want to talk about, have to talk about your past research experience, have to talk about your potentials, you have to talk about why you want to work with them based on what they are doing. And that one, then what you want to contribute to that research. So that is the point where you have to reach out. So the second question is, what do you want to study? So before you even reach out, you should have defined what you want to study. You have to first of all find out, okay, I did this program in my undergrad. I'll probably have a master's also. Also know that you don't have to have your master's before you can apply to graduate school. You can just apply with your bachelor's also. Then you can then go. When I mean grad school, I'm talking about both masters and PhD. You can apply to PhD with your bachelor's in US. So then you have identified the area you want to study, maybe related to your past academic background, or slightly different, but still have a kind of link between what you've studied in the past and the new area you want to explore. That is how you identify the new opportunity for yourself. I think that is very, very important, and that is a way to go. I believe I've been able to answer your questions, and if you have any further clarification, please feel free to post it on the comment box and we'll take it from there. All right, over to you. Hello.
I think she said something about statement of purpose. So for statement of purpose, basically what I tell people is your school will have a prompt, because like there are generic statement of purpose that you can use to apply to any school. But there are sometimes that your school will have a specific prompt for you. And what I mean by prompts is like they have a specific question for you to answer. Some of them will be like, yes, like tell us what informed your interest in this course. And some people might be like, what do you want to, like after this course, what do you want to achieve with this course? What are your goals? What are your long-term and short-term goals? So I would say that, just follow the prompt of your school. Basically, that is how I would tell people to approach statement of purpose. Follow the prompt of your school. I hope we've answered your question.
Yes, and to add to that, for schools that doesn't have prompts, some schools have templates of what they want to see in your statement of purpose. There are some schools that are not specific about it. There's always a way to go about it, as Ruth has rightly said. Catching up with Ola, and I'm trying to know which one to use.
Ola, anything. I answered all the names.
Okay, so that's it. So if you check my YouTube channel, I think I'll share the link here. But just search my name on YouTube, Sunday Okafor, my channel will come up. Yeah, I have a video I've done on how to write statement of purpose and all that. So you can check that out. But yes, you have to be clear on what you want to do, and that will help you in writing that out. Okay, before we take the next question, I know everyone here are looking at prospective scholars, and some already probably gotten offers and all that. And if different part of the world you can go to study, not just US, you can explore opportunities outside the US. And there are platforms that help you to navigate the stress of going through your accommodation when you want to move to other parts of the world. So I've posted a link of AMBA students, their platform. I've worked with them while I was studying, doing my master's in the UK. I've applied to accommodation through them when I was in UK and all that. So they are all over the world. They are in US, they are in UK, China, whatever country you're trying to study. So if you want to know more about them, you can click on the link I've posted in the comment section here. I've posted it on the live stream on YouTube. Just click on it and you get more information on how to go about that. So over to you, Ola. So the next person can take the question.
Paul, middleman.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. I have a few questions, and thank you, Mr. Sunday, and thank you, Ola, for this webinar. Really so much appreciate it. Now, I want to ask questions about getting letters of recommendations from a professor, probably from your school, or somebody you're working with. I think one of the main issue I had then was because of this letter of recommendation then, because I was trying to apply to a school then, and you know how Nigerian schools could be trying out to reach out to lecturers, and then it was taking long, no response, no reply from lecturers, and they had to tell me to come to my school. My school is very far from my place. I don't know if there's any other way we can get a letter of recommendation without reaching out to lecturers from my school, or probably I can reach out to another lecturer from somewhere here. So that should be short enough. And secondly, I have another question, please. And the question is related to what Mr. Sundays just said now, talking about moving from bachelor's to PhD, graduate school, as he said. So I want to know, is it like you're going to have another specific, your time duration, your study duration, is it going to be more, or is still going to be the same from the master's to the PhD, or is going to be more? Probably it's going to be 5 years, or it's going to be 4 years. I don't know if you get that very well, but that's a question. And lastly, please, I want to ask that how do you get a course? For instance, I study linguistics, and I'm trying to deviate to communications and media and journalism. So I don't know how this navigation could be easy. Will I have to? Of course, I've tried to go for experience, about 3 months experience about journalism, but I don't know how to navigate. Probably I'm going to write research, and I'm still aiming to just go to PhD directly. So I don't know how that could work. I hope you understand what I asked. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Your first question is talk about recommendation letters. I've made if you follow me on Twitter, Okafor_SC, you can find my tweet on different topics, and I've made a very comprehensive tweet on how to get recommendation letters, or how to get better recommendations. I think this is very important to note that not only your professors who have taught you while you were in school that can actually write recommendation for you. Someone that knows you, knows about your academic background, basically, don't have to be from your school directly. It don't have to be someone that have taught you directly. But I also said that because you need to provide through recommendation in most applications, at least one should be from your professor who have taught you, or lecturer who have taught you. The other ones can come from other sources, maybe from your workplace where you're working for some years now. You can get a recommendation. When I was applying for PhD in the US, I got recommendation from 3 different professors from 3 different schools, right? One was from my undergrad school in Nigeria. One was from UK where I did my master's. One was from University of Ilorin, Nigeria, where I did my youth service. So it can come from different places. It's just about them speaking about how they have known you for that time period, and how that can help you to survive in grad school. So it's about you finding someone that can write something commendable about you. You can have lecturers in your school who are not really interested in writing something about you, or doesn't know you much, and they are not well passionate about what you are looking for. So in that case, it doesn't make it much difference. It doesn't give you a chance, because recommendation is very, very important. You can have all the good grades, but recommendation is something you are not the one writing it. Someone else is speaking for you, saying that you are good, you can survive, you can thrive, you can succeed in this program. So it's very important. You don't take it for granted. I know some people just think, oh, just write whatever, and they don't take care about that. But it's very important that you are intentional when choosing your your recommenders. So the second question of you.
Sunday, before you move to the next question, I would like to talk a little bit about the recommendation part.
Okay.
I know, like, so for recommendation, basically what I advise people is that even though you'll be applying to so many schools, for instance, me, like I apply to so many schools, even though you'll be applying to so many schools, you can substitute between your lecturers, because at a point, like, you're not the only one. They also have multiple things they are dealing with. At the point when you're applying to like 5-6 schools, they will definitely get tired. So you can have like 2 people that would write recommendation for you. So why somebody will write to this school, the other person will write to the other school. And also the importance of recommendation cannot be overemphasized. Like I started recruiting people recently, and there are some people that I did not recruit because of their recommendation letter, because the recommendation letter did not even speak highly of them. So I'm like, if you've written in your application that you are this, you are that, and your recommendation letter is saying the opposite of what your application says, then I'm not sure you can work perfectly with me. So when you are choosing somebody to write recommendation for you, I do advise people that if you've done something for the lecturer, always remind them. Like if you organize something with them, always remind them that remember that thing. Like, of course, you will say it politely, but always, chip it in for them and be like, yes, remember that thing, remember that thing. And some lecturers will tell you to, maybe write it yourself or anything, but also make sure that you are remembering everything that you did for them, because like all of these things contribute to a skill that you need for graduate school. So that's all I have to say about the recommendation part.
That's well succinctly put. You can't say it any better than that. Second question, you're asking, you studied linguistics, you want to switch to communication and journalism. That's a related field. Basically, English is needed to communicate. so it's you are not deviating or something like that. You are just upgrading. I think is a good field for you to explore. I know someone, one thing about you applying to grad school in US most time is they are not even looking at what you studied in your undergrad. They are looking at the potentials you have to survive in that program you're going to. Graduate school is a totally different, in a way, from your undergrad. So it's a school on its own, right? So what they're majorly looking at is, okay, you've thrived in your undergrad. Do you have the skill? Do you have the potential to survive grad school? I know people who studied English, they are doing gender studies, they are doing programs that, different programs, that as long as it's English, it has to do with English. You can survive the linguistic, right? So that is not a problem. So that's not a problem. Then the question also you asked is how do you PhD, direct PhD from your bachelor's to PhD? Do you have to spend more years? Most times when you apply to grad school, you're going for PhD, whether you apply you have a master's first or not, to be stated on your I-20 that this program is either like 5 years, right? Then you come in, you start your program, some finish before 5 years, some spend more than 5 years, some spend 6, 7, depending on what you're doing, how intense is that. So I-20 is just a document you get once you have been admitted, and that is what you need to go for your visa application and all that. So it's a document. Once you get admission, you'll be asked to apply for that document. So if you already have a master, there are high chances that you spend less number of years. Depending on the school, there are some schools that they don't recognize, they might not want you to transfer credits from your master's. Then you have to do all it's required towards your PhD track. You have to do the number of course credits before to meet all that requirements. So that might take you time. Like for me, I had master's, so I transferred like half of the coursework I'm supposed to do. That's taking off almost 1.5 years out of the years I'm supposed to spend. So that has already reduced that. But if you are coming directly with your bachelor's, you are likely going to be doing your master's. Of course, you want to get your master's along the way. So you meet the requirement for master, you get your master's maybe within the first 2 years, then you proceed to your PhD. Within the next 2-3 years, you're done with your PhD. So that might take you a longer period. So for someone that have masters that the school accept for him or her to transfer the credits from the masters, it might take shorter. But if not, both of them might end up spending yes. So I think that answers your question, middleman. All right, Ola, you can go on with the next person.
Also, like middleman, you said you want to switch from linguistics to journalism. I think it is, I mean, it's still in the same field, like Sunday said. But one thing I would want you to emphasize when writing your statement of purpose is how your interest started in journalism. Because like for me, during my undergrad, I studied English language and education, and yeah, I'm studying student affairs. I know some people will still say, you know, it is education, it is still related, but like like it is related, it is still within education, but it is like moving higher. So basically, like just I stated it in my statement of purpose that, okay, you know, like this is how I started developing interest in, you know, being there for college students, transitioning from being a high school teacher to, you know, working with college students. You need to state all of this in your statement of purpose, just so that you are clear and so that they are clear on why they should admit you. Do you still have another question? I can still see your hand up. Or no? Okay, no, it's not you. Techno pop for.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Good evening. My name is Emmanuel. I'm in Nigeria. I have two questions to ask. Ruth. The first question, you said something about your visa not being a requirement for admission into your school. But my concern is when international exams now not being a requirement for admission into your school. So my concern now is how about when you want to go and get your visa? Going to be a problem. How did you maneuver over the fact that you have to have your international exams in order to be able to get your visa, all those stuff? I hope you understand. And another is will be the site for please help. I don't know if this is possible anyways. Help out with the site for the non-STEM because I am in the non-STEM. So I don't know the actual site want to actually maneuver into getting most of these programs that do not require international exams and all the that will stop us from getting to where we want to get to. So I think that will be all for now. And to Sunday, I've been following his program. He has been doing really well. And congratulations too on emerging as a president of your university, African State University. Congrats, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so to your first question, how to maneuver visa interview. So basically what I tell people is if your program is not requiring you to write exam, the VO would not force you to write exam. Also, I would say it depends on how your interview goes. For instance, particularly post-COVID, I believe that, you know, the VOs are no longer asking if students are writing exam, because the truth is I'm studying higher education and there's a research in higher education now as to whether like GRE or like all the standardized exam, whether they are now really required for students, because COVID exposed a lot of schools to see that, you know, this school is not like, these exams are not like a measure of how people would do well in graduate school. So basically, like after COVID, I've seen people, even people that are STEM, that are not even non-STEM. I've seen people come to study STEM and they did not do exam, they did not do any standardized exam. So I would say it depends on how it is at the embassy. Simply if the VO asks you, because I mean, I prepared for that question when I was going for my visa interview, and the answer I prepared was to tell them that, you know, like it was not a requirement for admission, because like the requirement for admission is for me to meet a 3.0 out of a scale of 4.0. And another thing, okay, so if you have a 2.2, if you had a 2.2 during admission or during your undergrad, or you're unable to meet 3.0 on a scale of 4.0, I would advise you to write the exam, because the exam will boost your chances. That is what I'm going to tell you. Write the exam. But the reason why I could, you know, do without writing an exam is because like I had a strong GPA. That's why I could do without writing an exam. So I think that is, I've answered your first question. Basically, you know, just explaining to the VO. So one thing I say is that for VO, so when I say VO, I mean visa officer. So for VO, they are humans like us. They also have blood, and they also have water running through their flesh. Basically, what they just want to know is that you're a credible student. No VO will force you to write exam if exam is not required for your course. They only want to know if you're a credible student. And as long as you can prove your credibility, writing exam does not prove your credibility. There are a lot of people that write exam and they still come here and they don't go to school. So writing exam does not prove your credibility. As long as you're able to prove that you're a credible student and you pray in whatever you believe in, you would get the visa. So that is it on the first part. What is your second part again? Please remind me. Technopop 4. What's the second part of the question?
Techno is not there.
Okay.
Techno. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can
Yeah,
hear you.
the second question was if you could help her with the sites you use in seeing most of those non-STEM courses, because it's rather hard that you're getting to check most of them. The focus is always on STEM related courses anyway. So that was my second question.
Okay, so basically, I think the first question you need to ask yourself is, what do I want to study? So like there are a lot of non-STEM courses out there. The question is asking yourself what you want to study, because a lot of people just be like, yes, I want to travel, I want to travel, I want to travel. The point is, it is actually, I don't know if to say it is harder to study here than it is in Nigeria. I'm just going to be very factual with you. But the difference between here and Nigeria is if you work hard, you see the results. In Nigeria, if you work hard, you will not see the results. But yeah, it is also very hard to study here, because if you are doing something that you do not like, you would end up being frustrated. So I'm going to ask you to ask yourself genuinely, what do I really want to study? So it's not just by picking a random course and just doing a random course, because at the end of the day, you'll be frustrated if you are not passionate about the course. So ask yourself, what do I want to study? And if you check through my channel, you see that I've reviewed some courses. I'm going to drop my channel name on the chat box. I've reviewed some courses online. I'll be like, yes, like these are the schools that will give you fully funded scholarship in this course. So you can also check that out. But the first question you should ask yourself is, what do I really want to study?
All right, thank you very much, Ruth. I think that answers the question. Let's move on to Layo. Layo, can you unmute yourself and quickly ask your question?
Okay, hi. Good evening. I have a couple of questions myself, and the first I want to, as an extension of what the other person asked, the GP, how do you convert or calculate your GP from the Nigerian one to know if you meet up with the standard for the US? That's number one. Number two is, for those non-STEM courses like we've been discussing, is it common to actually get master's funding for non-STEM courses if you're actually not interested in doing PhD but just master's? Is it common, or is it possible for you to get that? And the third one, which I think the other two people have asked, is I know there are a lot of websites, a lot of materials, a lot of articles for you to actually find schools and funding, and it can be very overwhelming sometimes, like searching, especially when you cannot really locate what you're looking for. So are there guidelines for this? Are there really credible websites to go to that you can say, yes, okay, for example, I know exactly the course I'm looking for. So where to go and where you can find easy guidelines to follow. Thank you.
Okay. So your first question is, I'm going to start from the last question. When you know the course you want to study, how do you search for schools? So basically, when I was doing my own school research, I was going in, I had a lot of time to do the research. So I was going in by states, but like there are other websites that can help you search for schools. What I mean by I was going in by states is I got a list of the 50 states in the US, and then I would decide, okay, like I want to do 5 states today. So that's how I started my school search. Then I would type like Masters in Student Affairs or maybe like just public universities in maybe Texas, then I'll check through all the public universities in Texas, check for my course. Remember that I said I had like a requirement for myself, see if the school has the requirements I had set for myself. And if they have that requirement, I'm just going to note them down and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to apply to this school. So basically that is how I navigated my school search. And there are other ways you can also navigate your school search. You can check through Master's Portal. You can, type the name, type the course you want to study on Master's Portal. You see like a list of schools. Just, when you are searching, I'm going to emphasize that when you are searching, you need to be patient with searching. There are so many people that will reach out to me and I'll tell them, okay, go and search schools. And then within the next day, they're already coming to me. I did not see scholarship. School search will not take you a day. Like the least school search will take you is like a week. School search is not going to take you a day. Like you're not rushing anywhere. So I'm going to tell you to pay attention and take your time when searching for schools. So you can search for schools on Master's Portal. You can search for schools on usnews.com. You can search for schools on Grad Cafe. You can search for schools even on Neraland. I know like a lot of people will be like, yes, but like you can search for schools on Neraland. And when you search for schools on Neraland, you have an idea of if somebody has done the course before and if the person got scholarship. That is the purpose of Neraland. You can also search for schools on internationalstudent.com. Like there are a lot of places you can search for schools, and simply Google. You can also search for schools on Google. You can be like, yes, schools that offer masters in student affairs in higher education. Just type it on Google. You see a lot of schools that will come out on the search term. So basically that is how to search for schools. And if you're also looking for more detailed guideline on how to search for school, I have a video on that on my channel. I don't know if Sunday has a video on that on his channel as well. So you can, just check through the both channel. I'm sure you find answers to your question. Then the second question is, what's your second question? Sorry.
About
The second
CGPA.
question was, yeah, that was the first.
So for CGPA, basically what I did when I was applying, I did the WES unofficial evaluation because I did not have money for official evaluation, because the official evaluation is like, I think $200 or thereabouts. It is very expensive. So I did the unofficial evaluation, although the unofficial evaluation is not always accurate. So I did the unofficial evaluation and I think it gave me like 3 point something. So I'm like, even if it's not accurate, at least I'm going to beat 3.0 on a scale of 4.0. So that's how I was able to, apply. You can just type it on Google, WS evaluation. They will tell you to, put in all your core courses, because they don't calculate. So when you want to calculate, don't calculate with your GPA. Put in all your courses, like from 100 level to 400 level, just put in all your courses and they will calculate it for you. That is if you want to have an idea of if you meet the 3.0 over 4.0. Or if you also have the money, you can do the official evaluation. But for me, when I was applying, I wasn't ready to spend money. So yeah, that is it for me. So I did the unofficial evaluation. I don't know if Sunday has a little insight into how you can calculate your GPA.
I think that was basically it. When you use those platforms, there is also Cgpa Calculator. I'm trying to find the link. If I get it before the end, I'll post it on the channel. So it's just straightforward. And sometimes you can just do normal basic conversion. You have your Cgpa in 5.0. Want to convert it to 4.0, you can simply do your CGPA over 5 times 4. Simple ratio. It will give you something not accurate. When you use the normal calculator to do it, you get higher. So what you get, if you meet the 3.0, that means of course you already, you're going to beat that when it is done officially. So but I will check and see if I can get that. All right. Go on, Ruth, with other questions.
And before I go on with another person, I would also say, if you feel like you have doubts, always ask questions. Like your program coordinator, you can always reach out to them. At times, even if the school is accepting like a 3.0 and they are not giving you the option to write exam, because there are some schools that will just say GRE is not required and they just put it on their requirement that 3.0. You can always ask questions from the program coordinator. So basically, nobody will beat you for asking questions. That is what I would say. The last thing they will tell you is no. Nobody will beat you for asking questions. So always ask questions. Who else? No, Aige.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. My name is Noah, like you have seen, and I've been following your channel, catching up with Ola and even Sunday Okafor, and I have some questions, and I would say one of my fears rather, because I'm from Nigeria, and I came out with 4.25. And the issue, I have asked a lot of other people I know that went through the process. They said it's okay. But there was a time when I was in school that I was facing a very rough time. Maybe one of my, I think, third year, because my school requires that we use 5 years. So though that third year, I was facing a lot of challenge, and the result for that semester, I think not that I had carryover, but it was bad for me. It was like I was having like maybe like a E the first semester and like a D the second semester, which is more like tarnishing that particular year for me. So later, I think when I got to 400 level, that was when I heard about all this process. So it's more like standing like a fair for me. So I would like to ask that I've gone through the channel, I've listened to statement of purpose, how you write your statement of purpose, and some other thing that explaining the fact that all these issues that I went through in your statement of purpose, wouldn't it be as if you are selling yourself out or probably reducing the chance of you getting the admission? That's the first question. And the second question is asking, because I've listened to a lot of people. So out of them, I saw one that said the same kind of GPA I came out with. He said he was offered a PhD offer straight from BSc to PhD, and he was given that offer. So I'm asking with this predicament, what I said to be a fair for me, can that be visible? Is this something I can actually do as well? And I'm directing this question to both of you, Sunday Okafor and Ola, that that's the second question. Please let me just put this third question. The third question is that I study pure and applied mathematics. So during my journey, I fell in love with data. And as a mathematics student in my school, we do a lot of statistic courses up until my third year before we now focused more on mathematics. So I fell in love with data, working with data analysis. I've done some courses on it, all these online courses. So my desire is to further with statistics, maybe probably for MSc or PhD. And please, I know there's a kind of link up for me as per the courses that I've done, maybe first year, second year, and third year, that there's a link up, but is that enough criteria for me to apply for statistics, moving from pure and applied mathematics and linking up with statistics? Thank you.
I'm going to try to answer the first question, then I pass the other questions to Sunday. So the first question is, you said you had the GPA of 4.2. Is it over 5.0? I think you need to clarify that, or 7.0.
Yeah, exactly, over 5.0.
Okay,
over
so
5.0.
one thing I want you to know is that what they want to see is progress. So for instance, myself, I did not do well in my first year. Like my results in school, first year, first semester, 100 level was very brutal. Like I did not like it. Maybe it might not be brutal to some people, but I did not like it. So it's like I failed in my first year. Not like I did not retake any course, but like I failed. So, but like when I was explaining it in my statement of purpose, I kept something like, yes, like I was battling with depression, and that is it. Like that was what was happening. I was battling with depression. And even during my interview, like my program coordinator was like, so can I explain what happened during that period? So when you want to explain something like that, you make sure that you explain that you were able to progress as seen on your transcript. Because the reason why I would prefer people to talk about it is because remember, you are submitting your transcripts. If you don't talk about it, they will still see it. So it's better for you to explain yourself than for them to just see it on your transcript and assume whatever. So explain yourself and explain that, okay, yes, like at the end of the day, you were able to meet a 4.25 GPA out of 5.0. So you can always explain that in your statement of purpose. And you can even draw out a skill, draw out something from there to show how persistent you are or something. Yes, you can write it. I feel like it should not affect your application process. This is just you being sincere. And in the US, they like it when you are sincere. But when you are explaining, just make sure that you are explaining the steps that you took, and also explaining that it doesn't mean that you not do well in graduate. So I don't know if you understand what I mean, but yeah.
I get your point. Thank you very much.
I'm going to pass it to Sunday.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Noah, for your question. And so talking about you, if I'm correct, switching from mathematics to statistics, is that the question? Or there's a one that comes before that, right?
Exactly. That's the last question. The one that comes before is me asking that with that same predicament and having that kind of GP, is it possible? Because I've seen someone with that exact GP on YouTube channel who said he was offered PhD straight from BSc.
Okay.
So now,
okay. Yeah. Now, there are things in US, what they look out for is what you can do. We still emphasize on the grade part, which is good to have a good grade, but at the end of the day, you can have a good grade, but you're not actually selling yourself. Mm-hmm. It's about you selling yourself and selling yourself to the best. Focus on your strengths. You can have your past results don't totally define what you can do. You can have challenges along the way, which is fine. But at the end of the day, it's about how you sell yourself. And I encourage people to reach out to professors, especially when you have a low CGPA. It is very important that you reach out to professors and sell yourself to them. Right? There are people with low CGPA, but they have great research experience. They have great, skills. So you reach out to the professor, you sell yourself to them. Don't even talk about your results when you are reaching out to a professor. Talk about your research interest, your research experience, what you can do. And that is what will endear them to you, or you to them. And that's where you can be able to get an offer from a professor. Once a professor is interested in you, forget about it. Whether you didn't meet the requirement of the basic requirement of 3.0, however, there's always a clause in that requirement that provisional admission can be given to people who doesn't meet that requirement. So it's not a cast in stone. If a professor wants you, all those things can be waived. So that is it. So sell yourself to the person, to the professor, and you stand a chance. And the last one, mathematics to statistics, you are still dealing with the same thing. You are still the same family. So you are not shifting anything. So you stand a good chance, and you have a background in statistics, and that gives you a chance to succeed in that field. So if that's what you want to pursue, definitely go for it, and sell yourself, as I said, to the best, and you stand a very good chance to get it. All right.
Before we move to Odusoya, I'm going to say that they say something here in grad school that your grade is not like a determinant of your ability. So whether you add a bad grade or not, it doesn't mean that you are not going to do well. It doesn't mean that you're not going to put in your best. So like he said, just know how to sell yourself, know how to sell that point that you had a bad grade, just know how to sell it. So yeah. Odusoya.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the knowledge you guys have passed to us today. My question is towards writing code emails to the professor. So my question is, if, for example, you've never had a research experience for any reason while you were in the higher institution, can you still go ahead to show your interest in the future research or in the abstract or the research work of the particular professor that you like to work with? Can you still kind of like write because you don't have that research experience, but you actually have love to kind of work with a professor? Can you? And the second question would be, for example, if you are admitted without funding, can you go as an out-of-state student? Can you go ahead to apply for scholarships if you are interested in the school that has not funded you? Let's say you have an internal funding from the school, but it's not enough for you. You feel like going for other scholarship. As an out-of-state student, can you apply for a scholarship? Is it normal? That's my question. Those are my two questions for now.
Okay. Your questions are quite straightforward. I think when it comes to sending cold emails, your interest is important. Your experience, research experience, I don't think there is a way you go through throughout your undergrad without doing something related to research. You don't have to be comprehensive, but at least you might have assisted a professor to do certain work, or you might have worked on your final year work. It doesn't have to be totally related to that professor's field. Research experience is just you having done something related to research, not something related to your new area of interest. Research is a general concept. Research generally follow the same method, irrespective of the field you are going into. There is an idea of you conceptualizing what you want to do, and then your ability for you to find a method to implement that idea. That's what research is all about. So if you have those skills, that is what research experience is all about. So it doesn't have to be totally related to the new area you're going. Then you are just going to relate that to say, okay, you've done work on this, you've been able to do this, achieve this within this time period, and then you are interested in going into research in this area. Then defining your new interest, that is what it's all about. So just highlight your experience. Research experience is a research experience, irrespective of how little you might think it is. You might think it's not worth mentioning, but what they just want to see is that you've done something related to research before in the past. And once you can capture that, that gives you a good platform to build on. And on the second question where you asked if you can apply for external scholarships, once the external scholarship is available for international or out-of-state students, of course you can apply for it, right? So you don't have to limit yourself to only the funding you get, especially when the funding is not full funding. You still need more money. So once you see an opportunity outside to get more money to support your studies, you can go ahead as long as you're eligible to apply for it. They're not going to stop you from that. You know, there are programs where you apply for external fellowships, you know, to support your programs and all that. If you get it, fine, that is good. Even some schools, while they are still funding you and you apply for external grant or external fellowship and you get it, they will be happy because you're kind of saving money for them in a way. So just go ahead and don't limit yourself when it comes to that. I don't know if Ola has more to add to that. And then
I was going to talk about, like even if you are full funding, even though I'm fully funded, like I still always look out for scholarship because I need more money.
yeah, you guys, you know how it goes.
I need more money. So like I still always look out for more scholarship just to, have money, secure the bag, like secure the bag. We have to secure the bag. I did not
Secure the bag, yeah. The money they are paying is not enough, so you just have to.
Yeah. I did not come to US to count bridge. So
Okay, one more question to the house. Talking about that scholarship, what if is there anything like an SS scholarship? Let's say you are granted about 80K. So is there anything around SS scholarship and your program is lasting for 24 months, but you are still applying for scholarship and it's coming? Is there anything like excess? Can a scholarship be ever SS? Let's say you're granted 80K.
yeah.
Where does that money go?
Scholarship.
Okay.
Scholarship cannot be SS. If they are giving you the money, that means you want it, right? So before you apply, they ask questions. As long as you are not lying in the application, you are truthful. And they give you the scholarship, 80,000. If you can get that, call me. Let's come and celebrate. I would like to be partaker. That's the type of people I like working with. So yeah, just go for it, man. Don't limit yourself. They give you 80K, that means you want it, and your programs, what the information you've provided to them made you eligible for that amount. So that's it. There's nothing like SS scholarship or scholarship not do too much. So yeah, so that's it. So yeah. More questions, guys. We have I think we've already spent 1 hour.
There's one question on YouTube for you, Sunday. Somebody said you should provide some tips on house hunting abroad.
Okay. I've basically mentioned, I've posted a link here and on YouTube on platform I'm currently working with that provide opportunities for people to explore different housing opportunities, even from their home country before they travel, to see what opportunities are there for them. So for the sake of this, I'm not going to share more information on housing outside that platform, because you can't talk about that platform. You have one platform, is contradicting, right? So go through that, and if you have any question after going through it, feel free, you can register through that link. I'll be able to see you when you register. And if you have more questions, my social platforms are available for you to interact with me. I'll be more happy to provide you with more information on that. Yes, I think that's all I will say on that for now. Do we have any other question on YouTube?
No, there's no other question. Do we have any other question?
Okay. I think in the absence of further questions, we plan to make this 1 hour. Why are their hands coming up at this point?
If you have any question, just raise up your hand now. Like after these 2 people will not be accepting any question again.
Exactly.
Just raise up your hand now if you have any
Noah, you have asked questions. We're not taking Noah again. Noah, go and apply for scholarship.
Let me advocate for Noah. Please let us take Noah. Let me advocate for Noah.
Okay.
If you have any question, just raise your hand now, because like after Noah, which is like the 3rd person, we would not be accepting question inside question, if you know what I mean. So, okay. Oluwajun Olo Esho.
All right, thank you. It has been an amazing time being in this webinar. I've learned so much, right? But my question is this. So for instance, I want to go for maybe master's or postgraduate. And I study a particular thing, but because of my work experience and exposure, I'm also now in a different field. And I'm sure if I want to go for my master's or postgraduates or PhD, I want to go in this field that I've been working. So there's a big, to me, it's like a big difference, Nigeria now. You study something, you are doing something else totally different. So now I'm in a new field, which is even non-STEM now. And I'm just asking, how do one navigate? Because your academic background is way different from what you want to do now. Thank you.
Would you want to answer that question?
Yeah, let me answer that question. It's not limited to Nigeria, okay? So when you said you study one thing, you're doing another thing. I have friends who finished their PhD in transportation engineering. They are working in the bank here in the US. So US is all about what can you do. After you got your degree, nobody cares what you study in most cases. Can you do this? Yes, take it. Show us that you can do it. And that's it. And you learn and you progress as you start working on that. So your new field of discovery, yes, you have the experience, you can do it, you can thrive in that field. don't let that limit you, because if you check most programs, what they will say is that, okay, if you have a degree in this field or this field or this field, you can apply to this program. They're not saying you have to have a degree in that program before you can apply to that program. They will list related field. Like I have in my office, we have people from computer science who are doing transportation engineering, one finished from different field entirely, industrial engineering or different field. Things are getting field are getting interrelated of recent. We are doing research with people in communication departments, even though we are in transportation. We are working with people in public health. We are working with people with social work. We want to understand how transportation affects public health. We want to understand how communication affects transportation. So these things are related. How does people travel to work? How does transportation affect you going to work? How do you, access to healthcare, different areas of interest popping up and all that. So things are getting interrelated. So how can you link your past experience or past study with your recent discovery? And how can that be a new area to explore? So those are the things you might want to consider when you are writing your statement of purpose, and what you have learned in your new field and how that can help you to survive in that area that you want to go to. So yeah, you can always diversify from STEM to non-STEM. These are just terms used to just to differentiate things. But at the end of the day, they are related. Research is related, studies is related. You can't do STEM without non-STEM. You can't talk of your research without linguistics. So you can't sell yourself without English. We need people in communication to sell yourself. So they are all related together. And that shouldn't be an issue for you. Okay.
Joan.
Joan Onashuku.
Yes, Joan Onashuku here. Thank you so much, Ruth and Mr. Sunday. Thank you. So my question is, are there provisions made for short course scholarships that are STEM related? That's my first question. And the second is, does it necessarily have to be either master's or PhD, to get a student's visa?
Okay, yes. There is something called visiting scholars. There's something called, probably you're in another school, you have, you want to come and study for some time, transfer scholars and all that. And there are some programs that might be short form, but they might not have scholarship back in Europe, especially in the US. But other countries have fellowship for short programs and all that. They might be available. I wish I have not information on that. Yes, but if one thing you have to know is that once you are interested in something, the first thing is go out there and search and see, okay, are there opportunities for this area of interest, right? So in the US, programs are not directly a master's program or PhD program. There might be some, short-term programs or certification programs and all that stuff like that. They are out there, but most of the time, what is literally available is master's, PhD, stuff like that. So, but if you are looking for something totally different from that, then you have to check and search. Sure. But from our both experience, Ola might agree with me or not, but we are graduate students, we are into master's and PhD programs. So that's area we understand very well. And there, but once you search, you of course always find information. Internet is always full with informations, and you can explore that. Okay, Ola, go on if you have something to add, or you call the next person.
Yeah, I know, like, did you say student visa? Because for student visa, you can also come to study undergraduate program. That is also student visa. Basically, if you'll be studying anything in the US, you have to come with student visa. So I hope we've answered your question. Noah.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ola. Thank you for advocating for me. Thank you very much. And to Saukafa, I really do understand, but this is a great opportunity. One important question I want to ask again is about emailing professors. Emailing professors. And the reason why I'm asking this question is that even here in this video, you've talked about it and I've gotten the insight. But most time, we tend to do better when we see examples in solving your own puzzle as well. So the reason why I'm asking this question is just like, I don't know, maybe you can drop a link or probably maybe like 2 or 3 samples of emails, like samples of email that can be sent to professors. Not that we'll be copying it directly or verbally, but I tend to see it in a way that when you want to solve a particular something, you have to see something that goes in that line and you'll be able to construct your own even much better than the way it actually is. So it's probably just to get insight, rather than just getting it verbally, verbatim from you. I don't know, maybe there is a possibility of doing that for us.
Okay, I just sent a tweet by a friend of mine who has prepared like a template of how to write code email to professors. So if you open that, you can follow that that link, and the template is very, very detailed, well detailed, and it can help you, guide you on how to write that. So I think that will be helpful. All right. Noah, I'll go on with the next. Techno-Common 12A. Okay. I go on with your question. Techno.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, but speak a little louder.
Techno, where are you? Are you in the?
Thank you for the information. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear.
All right. Okay, thank you for the information. So I want to ask on a scale of 5.0. So if someone happens to get like 3.0, and then how we lead, and one is taking GRE, is it possible to still be able to get that admission with funding?
Yes, of course, it is possible, but also it depends on what the requirement of your school is. Because for some schools, they will tell you if you don't meet up to a 3.0 on a scale of 4.0, even if you are GRE, they would not give you admission. And for some schools, they will tell you if you don't meet up to a scale of 3.0, if you are GRE, you'll be given conditional admission. So it depends on the school. And if you feel like, yes, like you are confused, like we already said it earlier, like always ask question, you can reach out to the program coordinator. They always have like their email on the website for the whatever program you're applying to. So you can always reach out to the program coordinator, explain yourself to them, and ask them if you should proceed. This should be before submitting application fee, because you would not want to waste your money. So you can just ask them and, explain yourself to them and ask them if you should proceed with the admission or if you should proceed with the application. So whatever they say would, inform your decision. But basically, if you've written GRE, there are schools out there that would admit you. It might be conditional admission, it might be full-time admission, but there are schools out there that will admit you if you've written GRE. And based on funding, I think it also depends on the school. Some schools will give you, some schools might give you funding based on conditional admission. It all depends on the school you're applying to.
Okay, thank you for the information. Sorry, please, there was a school I saw that said 2.5, but that 2.5, I don't know if it's on a scale of 4.0 or it's on a scale of 5.0. Is it that most schools in US, they have a 4.0 scale, so
yes,
majorly it's 4.0.
Yes, all the schools in the US operate on the scale of 4.0. So if your school has told you that, they would give you admission with a 2.5, that is on a scale of 4.0. So with that, you are free to apply with 2.5 on a scale of 4.0. And yeah, you are free to apply to that school.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, so I think that's all the questions we have to take. And at this junction, we want to round up, want to appreciate everyone that joined the call, both here on Zoom and on YouTube. We really appreciate you, and we are happy to do this. We are happy to do this. We are glad to do this to give insight to prospective scholars who are interested in studying in the US. And hopefully we'll do more of this in the nearest future. From me, I would say that it has been a wonderful time speaking with you, hearing from you, and giving you some insights on what to do. And thank you very much. I'll hand over to Ola to wrap it up from here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining this live section. We know that we might not have answered all your questions. So if you have any further questions, feel free to check out our YouTube channel. Sunday Okafor is on YouTube at Sunday Okafor, and I'm on YouTube at Catching Up with Ola. We have our emails up on the channel, so you can always reach out to us. If you want to chat with us privately, you can always reach out to us. So yeah, basically that is all. Thank you so much once again for joining, and we wish you all the best in your application process. And as soon as you start getting those admissions, remember to share your testimony with us, okay? So we see you in the next webinar. Bye.
Right. Bye. Take care of yourself, guys. Have a lovely day.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.